Hello and welcome to Literati on NewsCentral, the show where we talk to writers, journalists, editors, and really anyone who's involved in the process of bringing these wonderful pieces of literature and content that help to shape and color our lives and how we tell our stories to you. I'm Joseph Ike and I'm your host. The show is brought to you by Glow. With me in the studio today is none other than I guess the word legend applies here. The legend himself, Toni Khan. You are someone that bears no introduction, but just so that we fulfill all protocol, let's say a little bit about Mr. Toni. Toni is one of the journalists from an era we call the next golden era. Writers and editors that include people like Kadaria Ahmed, Molara Wood from Next Magazine. You started Sabi News, and it was eventually sold to an international media company. He won the Ken Saro-Wiwa Prize for Fiction in 2009. You started the Cassava Shorts in partnership with Cassava Republic. He's written two books which include The Carnivorous City and Night of Creaking Bed. Thank you so much, Mr. Toni, for having you, for being on the show with us today. Now, one of the things we know you best for, and you're part of our history, our collective consciousness, is Hint Magazine. It's funny because a few weeks ago we had Helen Habila, writer of The Travelers, who also got his start in Hint Magazine. So tell us about Hint Magazine. What were you trying to achieve with Hint Magazine?
Okay, so it's funny you mentioned Helen. Helen and I were roommates in school, classmates, roommates, and then he was now on my staff at Hint, so we go back a long way. So I was in school, University of Jos, and I won an award. It was my second year, I think, the British Council prize.
Okay.
So the prize was to go to London, to the University of Edinburgh for summer school. So when I came to Lagos on my way to London, my friend said to me that he knew Kaja Jala and Ruben Abati, and that would I like to see them. So I went to them and told them, my friend said I should come and see you. I write. He said, okay, can you write stories, like Hint stories? I said, well, I could. Said, okay, when you come back from London, come see me. So I came back from London, I went to see Kaja Jala, and I was going back to school the next day. I remember I went to his office and he said to me, okay, do me a sample story and send it from school. Now, some context. This is 92.
Yeah.
We didn't have emails, right?
Yeah.
There were no emails. So when you say send it from school, it meant you have to go back to Jos, write it, type it, and then go to the post office, send it, and hope it gets to Lagos in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and then maybe you might just see a bunch of letters and like. So I went downstairs instead. I just asked for piece of paper and I just wrote the story. Then I came back maybe about an hour or 40 minutes and I said, oh, I wanted to see him again. He said, okay, oh, you want money for transport? I said, no, I've done the story. He said, no. I said, go and do it and come back. I said, no, I've done it. I said, yeah. So he took it and he read it like, you wrote it here. I said, yeah, I did. So anyway, that's how they gave me a job. I started working for Hints from my second year at the University of Jos. So it was funny because, my allowance in school was 300 naira, I remember, a month from my dad. So he was paying me 500 naira a piece. So any 3,000 naira a month, which was more than journalists, more than so many people earning their salaries. So from there, I wrote for Hints from year 2 to when I finished school. So I was one of the lucky ones who left school and there was a job waiting. You know, I didn't have to do for a job for a day. I just, it was whether I wanted to go back there or not. I tried to go to advertising and stuff, It's just on that story because advertising never worked out. But this year, I'm judging the advertising industry, so I'm a judge for the Life Award. So, that just happened. So it was very funny. But I went to advertising through the back door when I started my own company, Radiate and stuff. But so it's been a very funny life. So Hints was where I went to after school, and I worked for Hints from 92 to 2001, which will be 9 years.
Yeah.
So let's say I wrote a story every week for Hints. That would be 52 in a year. That would be 450 in 9 years. So how many people in this world have written 450 short stories? There are very few of us, So that was what happened. So it was like where I had my tutelage as a writer.
Yeah.
Because I wrote as a woman, as a man, as a child, as anything, I had like, I could just go wild, And then when I became editor of Hints, I brought in all my friends, David Njoku, Helen Habila, Te Agbede, all my friends from Jos who could write. So it was like the golden age of Hints. And once we left, the quality collapsed. So it was a good time. It was a time, to learn how to be a writer and, to be a writer, because a journalist is, write stories, but all we're doing was writing, stories.
And what kind of feedback do you get about that time? Not from your colleagues, because we're hearing you talk about what it was like on the inside, doing this work and putting these things out there. We were actually discussing before you came into the studio how for a lot of us, Hints is a part of, not to date ourselves per se, but part of our growing up. That was what we had, where we went to read those stories, and feel like, ooh. So what kind of feedback do you get from
now?
Yes, now.
So when I was at Hints, I wanted to get married, and my kid brothers were going to university, and I just told them more money. Even though I was among the highest paid editors in Nigeria at that point in time, because I had a car, I had an allowance, I was in about 60K a month, which was, nobody was earning 60K. I remember that when my friend left Vanguard, he asked me to go and take over his job in Vanguard, and I wanted to pay him 19K as an editor, so it was very fun. Anyway, so I wanted to go and get another job, and I mean, I left school as best student, I had the 2-1, so it was like a shoe-in to get into a Shell or a bank. So I said, okay, let me go to the bank. And my first interview, I had interview, and it went well. The guy said, okay, so what are you bringing to the bank? What is your calling card? What are you bringing? So I said, I don't understand. He said, no, I mean, we're coming here. What value do you bring to us? I said, I can write. He said, no. What else? Anybody can write. So I said, well, I think my biggest value I bring to your bank is my name. Like, your name, who are you? Are you sure you can? I said, no, I'm not, but I'm sure if you ask your wife, she will know who I am. Like, what? So he took the phone. Then we didn't have cell phone then. So he called the wife's office. And then somebody here, and he says he knows his name. And he goes, just scream. I read him. So you think I start now? And that's how I got, that's my first job came. It happens, it's helped me. And doing kind of work I do, which is public relations and stuff, anywhere I go to, I mean, there's somebody who remembers Hints, and which is a good way to open the door.
Yes, I traveled somewhere recently, not somewhere, I actually traveled to the village recently, and we were doing some renovation work, and in one of the rooms, there was cartons and cartons of Hints magazine, because what we used to do then, everyone travels home for the holidays, and so all the cousins all come with their own stash, and it kind of just stayed there. And I'm sure when they see this, that I'm with the guy who brought us all of that, this would be one of those that I'm sure they would give you an upgrade for it. But then we've Hint has come and Hint has gone. I mean, I'm sure that it's still being published, but it's nowhere close to what it used to be. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we need to talk about this idea of continuity of great times and great ideas in the literary space in Nigeria, and what we need to do to maintain that after the break.
Hey guys, making music for you is so easy for me to do. But you know what else is super easy to do? Linking your NIN to your Glow line by dialing *109*NIN hash. Or I can call 109 from my Glow line and follow the instructions. And if I don't want to call, I can text my NIN to 109. I can even visit glowworld.com/NIN. And what if you've forgotten your NIN? All you have to do is dial *346# and Glow will help you remember it. Someone may ask, what if I haven't registered? All you have to do is go into the nearest Glow World and we'll help you register. It's that easy. So don't get disconnected from all of the amazing voice and data offers from Glow. Linking your NIN to your Glow lines is simple, safe, and 100% free with zero hassles.
Welcome back to Literati. If you're just joining us, we have Toni Khan in the studio, and we've been talking about life during the golden era, is what we're calling it today. If you want to join the debate, you can follow us on our Twitter handle, NewsCentral TV, #NCLiterati. So we're talking about, this idea of golden era, but I think subtext is continuity. It seems to be an ongoing issue in every sector. But then when we come to the literary space, we had this fantastic, in my opinion, hint. We don't have anything comparative today. Why is that? And isn't that in itself the fact that we can't come up with a good idea and sustain it?
So I like to say that, Hints was something that happened when we didn't have the kind of barrage of information and content that we have now. So if you went to the bank and you had to wait, you had a magazine to read. Now you just have your phone. You can check your timeline on Twitter or Instagram or WhatsApp. So you don't have a need for a magazine anymore. I mean, I subscribe to Vanity Fair, but it's so difficult to read it because I read it online and I'm like, so but because the guy wants to send me traffic, he just comes to me. So but Okada books I know has something that has to do with some kind of romance stuff. And there are actually a few sites where they do some kind of erotica or whatever. I don't know why they haven't caught on. But I think that if they are really good, people will gravitate towards them. And this is what gets me in trouble because every time I hear so we're somewhere last year and we're talking about literary criticism. So I took my money and set up Lagos Review with Ajayi, So I might live here now, so let's set up a new site where all we publish our stories. You never can tell, but I think that people love those stories and they are still valid because people will always fall in love and get heartbroken, and get disappointed. So those stories are universal and eternal. So I guess, maybe we could do something just at the new site that just publishes the stories.
Just make sure you mention that it was you add this whole literati and then we picked it up from.
So I think that it might happen. I mean, Hints has tried to come up so many times and failed. I think it also has to do with the quality of people who are writing it. We went to school, we studied literature, we loved literature, we loved books, and we loved to read. So everything we had learned and studied, we brought to bear on Hints. And knock it as much as you want, it was a training ground for us as writers, and you can see the effect of it years and years after.
Okay, let's talk about your two. Let's talk about Carnivorous City and Knights of a Creaking Bed. One may describe them as trend bucking in terms of they explore violence and sexuality. Two things that one would think, no, leave those ones. Let's talk about why you seem to enjoy. Okay, this is where the trend is. This is where Tony's going.
I think that if you follow the trend, then you don't stand out. That's one.
True.
And secondly, I like a good story. The world is built on stories, right? From when you're a kid, when you grow up, everything. They want to admonish you. They say there's a boy who never listened, who got shot at Bar Beach. It's the stories. So if you tell a good story, people will, read it. It's that kind of thing. So people are reading a lot on Facebook, on Instagram. They're reading words, they're consuming words, they're consuming stories of whatever kind. So imagine if somebody wrote a book that was like Instagram post. So somebody will find it interesting. The book I read, which I lost years ago, was called just emails throughout the whole number of emails. So there are books that people will read. My friend Igoni Barrett one time said we should do an anthology, and we should call the book "How to Be a Millionaire." We'll be just short stories, but
that would sell out in 10 seconds or less.
They want to be millionaire, so that means like a self-help book. So we need to. I mean, there's a quote in the Bible by St. Paul says, "I became all things to all men, that I may win some." So if you're writing a story, my stories don't speak to intellectuals or academics. I want to speak to people who are on the street who can read it and enjoy it and post about it on Instagram and Twitter. And that's why people relate to my stories. They're relatable. They are something that you can say, this happened.
Definitely.
So that's
And of course, one of the things I was going to ask is, Lagos is always in your stories, and is that part of this?
It's intentional. I've been in Lagos now for 26 years, I guess. I practically grew up here, became a man in Lagos, got my first job, married, kids. So this has been like my playground for the past 26 years. And I want to write that definitive Lagos book that people will read and say, okay, this is Lagos. A friend of mine came from the US and took my book and then tracked all the way from Lekki to Morocco. And like, I can't find the church. I'm like, that's a book of fiction, man. I mean, I took you to the point and I said, okay, you've had your fun. So I want like in 10 years, because someone can take this book and say, okay, this is the dance book. Let me just walk around Lagos and see.
The other thing you've mentioned a little bit about is the Lagos Review. Tell us a little bit more about that and why it's important to have platforms like the Lagos Review.
We launched it on September 1st. We were in Olajuwon's office one day, and some kids were talking, younger writers were talking, and I was talking to them, I'm just like, these guys are just talking what I don't even understand. And I said to them, listen, we all can be writers, right? Just as we all can be chefs, because people eat the food, right? So I said some people should also begin to, evolve a way of critiquing what we write, analyzing what we write. And people talk about hints, but we used to have what we call the Guardian Literary Series that we had, where I published my first review. Then we had the Post-Expert Literary Series, where it was me and parts of me who were like the top guys in that for years, for about 2 or 3 years. And that was where we called it as critics and analysts of literature and reviewers. So I did that a lot, and then life happens, money chasing and everything. But once I thought I had established myself, made some money, and done things I wanted to do with the money, I thought, okay, I could just go back to writing. So I quit my job and just went back to being a writer, writing biographies and stuff. And I just thought, okay, I have some money, damn, let's think about what we can do. And with my partner, we just said, okay, let's do the Lagos Review. And we don't publish fiction, we don't publish poetry, we just publish just analysis. So book reviews, movie reviews, art reviews and stuff, and essays. And we pay our contributors. So that's why we need money, because we're running without 2 months down the line, we've already spent about $700, running it. But it's a good thing. People are coming out. One of the guys we published first, in fact, the first guy we published, won the prize at Labaf.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, it just so that we're not publishing our friend.
Yes.
I don't even know him. I met him at a cave for the first time, and so. But I would like, in a few years to come, to say, oh, these guys, I published them first. When I did it before, when I was working for The Sun, I published a lot of people. People like Kenyachuku, who's now in the U.S., Uchioma, who's in the U.S., Lucia, who just came from the U.S. Lucia is in the U.S., University of Arizona. GT, who used to be editor of Farafina. They all were writing for me, and I was paying them my own money at The Sun. So I'm doing it again, and I hope that in a few years to come, Oris, has covered him at The Sun. So in a few years to come, people like that will become Bankole Sijuade. So many of them, who've published books, who are writing seriously and stuff, and they also there from writing for me at The Sun. And I think I was paying them $5,000 a piece or so. So now we're paying for reviews and for essays.
I think when we come back, we'll take a quick break. But when we come back, we need to talk about why is it necessary. Why because I think and I strongly feel that this is not a luxury. The Lagos Review, it is a necessity.
Yep.
And it's a necessity for the growth of the literary space as a whole. So we'll discuss a little bit about why it is a necessity and what the process is like, for undertaking a review and how that makes it better at the end of the day when we get back from the break.
Can you see me now? We're just having a good time, and I'm feeling so good now.
Where you did? I dey come now. You go see me now. You go.
Call your party and everybody, yeah. Make we start to the corner.
Where you now?
You go see me now.
Everybody they dance.
Where you did now? Oh, you go see me now.
You go
I'm fine, sir. Even me, I surprised.
Hey, where you at?
Hello, how are you?
Tell us one truth nobody knows.
I like to steam it from my mama pot.
Glow, the best data plans in town. dial *777#.
Welcome back to Literati. We're still with Toni Khan talking about a whole lot of things in his career and the Lagos Review, which is the new project that Toni is undertaking. The show Literati is brought to you by Glow, and you could join the conversation, don't forget, on our Twitter handle at NewsCentral TV, and you could use the hashtag #NCLiterati to join the conversation. So we're talking about having a literary review and critique and that process. Now, the question I wanted us to focus on that is, why is this a necessity for the literary space?
So I made an example. I said, if we're all chefs, then who eats the food,
Yeah.
right? So growing up, I mean, I studied literature, first and second degree,
Yeah.
so I have a grounding in literary criticism and theory, right? Which comes out once in a while when I start to do a review or a book review or a movie review. But then I see that there's a lot of young people who are writing.
Yeah.
Some of them are doing excellent work. Some of them are not doing quite well. But the social media has done something which is democratized the ecosystem for writers, right? But what happened also that is it has also removed the gatekeepers, removed
Yes.
also the moderation.
Yes.
So the man who writes is the man who produces, is the man who distributes. Before, if you wrote, you had to send it to an editor who will now look at it, edit it, and say whether it's good or not enough, and then publish it. So what happens is you write something which is, pardon my language, which is crappy, but your friends will say, oh, Joseph, this is so wonderful. And then you have 15 likes, 20 likes, 100 likes, 200 likes, oh, everybody thinks it's good.
Yeah.
What has happened is we pay a token, $10, I think, and $20, is it 20 or 30? I'm not sure again. And but you see, funny thing is that nobody's writing. I mean,
Yeah.
we get a lot of writing. I mean, but the people we think will respond, I mean, because they are now scared that they will be put to the test, right? So they rather put it on Medium, where there's nobody to worry about it, because
yeah.
you just write it and put it, and your friends say, oh, you did well. So bring it to us. Let's look at it. Let's edit it, and put it to the grind.
Yes.
So that is the problem, because they don't have that rigor, and criticism is about rigor.
Yes.
So that's what we try to do, and because in time, right? So you're 20, you're 25, you're doing this, right? You don't have a job, some job out of school. When you're 30 and 35, what will you be doing?
Yeah.
Right? You won't be that crazy gay writer who was hot. Now you're old,
yeah.
right? There are crazier, younger gay writers, okay, who are taking the space. So what do you do? I mean, the fame you had is waning. How do you make money? You didn't go to school, you want to provide content for there are younger people who are
doing that and doing that for cheaper and are trendier.
So
and
what happens to you? I mean, I've been very lucky. 25 years, I'm still doing this. Still in demand. But it's very rare to happen like this. It's like, I mean, where would the video be when he's 40? He can't be sagging his pants and doing this at 40. So you have to prepare for what happens next. And we thought if you had a grounding in this, then you can become a critic.
Yeah.
You can write for anybody, and get a steady income. So that's what we're doing. And as the ecosystem grows, as people write more, we need to have people who can also say, oh, what are they writing? How do we describe what they're writing? How do we analyze it? To what genre does it belong? And what school does it belong? And begin to, delineate those kind of things. So that's what we're doing. And I realized that a few years ago, Backward Magazine did a critical review, whatever workship for writers. So people are thinking along the same lines. But we just said, okay, let's just do this. And 10 weeks down the line, it's catching on. People are sending us stuff from all over the world. We've published Brian Chipava, we're about to publish Sefiata, Abaka Demara has written to us. We just reviewed their Science and Mother Tongue. So everybody's coming to us and it's going well. But I think that we should have more of it.
Yes, definitely.
We just fired the first shot. Other people should come on. There's Brittle Paper. They are like, all comers, but we just said, let's do critical analysis and essays. And that's our own niche, and we hope it will catch on.
To pick up on a line you used that I think is at the core of, and I think it just answers my question and reinforces the notion that the essence of criticism is rigor. And you know, to bring in a system of rigor in any field is to improve and entrench the field.
Thank you.
So I think it's
Thank
a
you.
fantastic job that you guys are
Thank
doing.
you.
And we wish you the best of that. Now, there's
Thank
no
you.
way we could have you on here, talk about everything, talk about the books, talk about, and not talk about poetry. What's your take on the poetry space now?
Yeah, so
We're no longer under siege, so to speak.
There's some serious writing going on. Dami Ajayi is my favorite Nigerian poet right now.
Okay.
Dami is doing some great work. Logan February is writing very well. Then, so what's happening now is that because of performance poetry, the poem for the written page has kind of migrated to stage. And then the problem with performance poetry is that it doesn't cohere when you put it on paper. It's very flaky.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
except for a few
Yeah.
people. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I would say Titular Shonuga and Ife Paul, Ndukwe. The rest of them are just, you know, lightweight, you know, basically, if you ask me. So, I mean, you can make up the rhymes on stage and talk fast and stuff, and people can, you know, but when you put it on paper and say, is this
Can it stand?
poetry?
Can it stand
It doesn't
on its
really
own? Yeah.
stand, you know, to the test. But Dami is doing some great work. He's my friend, so I can plug him to connect tomorrow. But he does great work. Logan is doing work, but he's young. We'll see where he goes. Yeah.
All right. We'll take that for it. But then one parting word is a year, 2 years, what do we expect from Toni Khan?
I've been a full-time writer for the past 10 years. I mean, apart from 2 years where I went to work somewhere, but I just don't write. And so, and I have kids, you know, I have aged parents, I have responsibilities. I like to live a good life. So I need to be able to make enough money. When I applied for the My Small Land, they asked me how much I earn. And I think they said you earn between $5,000 and 30. I said, I mean, $5,000, is that money? I earn far more than that every year, you know. So it wasn't something that I was doing because I wanted the money.
Yeah.
It was just, you know, so 2 years, 3 years from now, I would have, I mean, in the past 10 years, I've done 7 biographies, right? I'm writing 3 right now at the moment. Then I have the novels. Poetry, yes. I actually have a book of poems coming out.
Oh, good.
He's on Babbage, the old Babbage. I don't know that there. Yeah, so that's what I would say.
Well, maybe that's even all that can be said on the show.
Yeah.
Mr. Khan, thank you so much for coming on Literati. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and we look forward to the books, the poetry, and everything else that you're working on. And the Lagos Review, we wish you all the best success with that, because that's something that we strongly believe that there is a need for. Thank you all so much for joining us on Literati today. Until next time, see you soon.